Final floor! Louie is just up ahead.
Is that Louie? Mr. President, you are dead. Olimar, I have located Louie resting on a vast mound of treasure. For him to venture to these depths alone, the desire of man is a thing to be feared. Dot dot dot. But Louie is not moving. He is also dead. Could he have exhausted his strength in reaching these depths? There may yet be time. Quickly, to Louie's aid.
I'm sure it's all gonna be fine. Holy sh! What the hell is this? That's my first time I ever played this game. And it was also the first time that I thought the word sh as a teenager. Fun fact, the more you know. This is the Titan Dweevil, the technical final boss of Pikmin 2, but here's the thing. You don't actually have to have this one be the last one. It's recommended though, because it's the most difficult. But yeah, let's go into strategies and stuff like that. And also, a bit of fun fact, this is post-commentary because I got so upset fighting this thing, trying to do live commentary. I salvaged some failed attempts, so we'll have a highlight montage later. But yeah, I was getting really frustrated with this. I just figured, you know what, screw commentary. I just want to fight this stupid thing so we can get this over with. But yeah, the Titan Dweevil. It has a lot of weapons. It's a pretty interesting enemy and stuff like that. So the big gameplay gimmick with this is it's going to be using pretty much every elemental hazard in the game, and we're gonna have to basically work against it for that. So that's a great way to word that. It has the flare cannon, the shock therapist, the monster pump, and the comedy bomb. The flare cannon obviously is gonna be the fire hazard. The shock therapist for electrical ones. This is gonna be the most dangerous one of them all. The monster pump is gonna be the water hazard, and the comedy bomb is the one we just saw a moment ago. That's the poisonous one. Now, the big strategy that I recommend for all the weapons, don't be directly underneath the Titan Weevil for any of them, because you're going to have your Pikmin in harm's way, you're going to be in harm's way, and it's not going to end very well for anybody. If you have your second captain with you during this, I recommend you keep them away from the center of the arena, because if one captain goes down, you at least have the other one, and that's something that's hopefully going to work out well. I'd say the monster pump is probably the least dangerous of the weapons, because it's pretty easy to get the Pikmin back into your squad if they do get hit by it. And if you're moving around a lot, it's going to be difficult for the monster pump to get to. But the shock therapist, that one is definitely the most dangerous one. Because remember, electrical hazards are instant death in this game. And we're going to see plenty of examples of that in the montage. Anyway, so the strategy is actually fighting this thing. I recommend you have plenty of ultra bitter sprays with you before you get into this thing, and ultra spicy sprays as well. Now the ultra bitter sprays, the thing is, again, misinformation being spread by on Pikmin wikis that hopefully get corrected when this video comes out. Is that they all say the ultra bitter spray is useless against the Titan Dweevil. That's not the case. It's just a matter of timing. So most people don't recommend using an ultra bitter spray against the Titan Dweevil because if the weapon is already activated when it's turned to stone, the weapon itself will still go off and will make it difficult to take advantage of it. But if you time it properly right before the weapon goes off, you can stop it. And this is pretty useful. I mean, we've seen already on screen we did plenty of examples of that. Now, the Ultra Spicy Spray is also highly recommended, and we have plenty of those, so we'll be okay with that. Now, the Ultra Spicy Spray is going to ramp up your Pikmin's speed and things like that, which, when these weapons have 6,000 HP each, that's definitely going to help speed things along. I will say, this boss fight, it really is just a matter of patience, because it is going to be very irritating feeling like these weapons just keep going off. I can't get close to this stupid thing. Just take your time, be patient, and just, yeah, be patient. I am great at words today, aren't I? So yeah, Ultra Bitter Spray right before the weapon goes off, and then start throwing your Pikmin. Now, it is possible to counterattack the weapons as they're actively going off. The Flare Cannon is the easiest one for this because you can attack the back of it while it's going off. That being said, it's still pretty difficult, so even though it is technically possible to counterattack them, I don't recommend it unless you have the Pikmin that's like impervious to that weapon. Let's say you only have yellow Pikmin on this floor, for example. You can still attack the Shock Therapist even after it's activated. Now, there is a strategy that I wanted to do for this. I wanted to have primarily yellows fighting this thing, because similar to the final boss of Pikmin 3, the yellow Pikmin in this game, they can be whistled to safety if they get attacked by any of the other hazards, but the Shock Therapist will instantly kill all the other Pikmin. So if you have a large squad of yellow Pikmin, that's probably going to be a good strategy for fighting this thing. That's what I wanted to do, and what I alluded to in earlier floors of this place. I decided to just screw it and just not try that anymore, because I didn't really have a whole lot of yellows anyway, and I was losing my patience for this fight. A couple other things worth mentioning about the Titan Evil that's very well worth mentioning. So, those super pointy legs, it may seem like they're just going to like impale your Pikmin's face as it walks around, but thankfully, it seems to always step around your Pikmin. You don't have to worry about the Titan Dweevil like squishing your Pikmin or anything like that, which is very, very nice because you're already dealing with instant death electricity, and also having to deal with instant death stomping and things like that. That would suck. Now, I will say, I'm not super fond of this fight. It is interesting having your different Pikmin's strengths and weaknesses, and having to have mastered them by now to avoid the different elemental hazards and things like that. It's a more interesting final boss than the first game, where it's basically just like one big guy, and you're basically spamming bomb rocks against it. But I feel like the final boss of Pikmin 3 does the idea a bit better. I won't spoil the ending of that game, but if you know what the final boss in that game is like, you already know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I gotta say the Titan Dweevil, we had to fight this thing at the end of a very long and annoying dungeon, and seeing this thing at the end of it, it's also really annoying. Now, I will say, the strategies that I've mentioned before, where you can get the treasures on your first run and then do a second run just fighting boss fights and things like that, that is perfectly okay here too. There are a couple strategies out there where you can take care of all the treasures and then come back with only yellows, because it's very nice. Because the nice thing about that is that if you have like a large squad of yellow Pikmin, then you can easily whistle them out of harm's way from the other hazards, and you don't have to worry about the Shock Therapist thing at all. But another good strategy that is definitely a lot more time consuming, but it is a good strategy if you're playing on your first playthrough, is to take care of like a couple hazards one at a time. Because the thing with rematching the Titan Dweevil is that it's pretty unique compared to other enemies in this game. So as long as you've collected the treasure associated with the weapon, it will not return if you come back here later. So we already took care of the Shock Therapist. So let's have all your yellow Pikmin carry that thing back and not worry about anything else. So the Titan Dweevil is less likely to attack you until you start attacking it back. So we probably could spend this time taking the Shock Therapist back to the ship. And then after it's already collected, we can do another run of this place, and the next time we fight the Titan Dweevil, we don't have to worry about the Shock Therapist thing at all. Which is very, very nice. It is very nice. But I will say, yeah, that is a very, very time-consuming way to go, so I don't know if that strategy is going to work for everybody. Especially considering the fact this is a 14-floor dungeon, and it isn't exactly the most efficient thing in the world going through here over and over again, considering a lot of the geysers to get to the next floors require you to use your Pikmin to break them open and things like that. Which begs the question, Louie, man, how did you get down here by yourself? I mean, like, the ship said that a man's strength is powerful and things like that, but to break through solid rock to get through geysers with a bunch of, like, fiery bulb orbs and those jelly float things and wally hops everywhere, man, Louie is someone to be feared. And speaking of Louie, a bit of an interesting detail about him. So, going to some Wikipedia information and things like that, which, by the way, I'm just going to say right now, I do apologize that we haven't really showcased the Wikipedia that much with the Let's Play. We did early on, but I decided to scrap that because it was kind of cluttering up the screen, and it just added to how much time it took to edit these videos. And I figured, you know what, it's probably more efficient to have a Wikipedia episode down the road, so we'll worry about that when we get there. So, yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit later during the final thoughts of this project, but as for the Wikipedia for the Titan Weevil itself, something very interesting about it. It points to the fact that Louie has always had a strong association with bugs, and the sales pitch points out that Louie may have been controlling the Titan Weevil's mind. Whether or not this is canon, it's up for debate, because this is only mentioned in the international versions. This wasn't mentioned in the Japanese version at all. So it's entirely possible that this was just like something that the localization team added to the game, and it wasn't the original intention. But considering how much of a jerk Louie is in Pikmin 3, specifically, I would certainly believe that. Like, my headcanon is that Louie came down here and was at first annoyed about Olimar leaving him behind. But it was like, you know what? There's a bunch of bugs on this planet. I like bugs. I'm gonna live here forever. So then he gets annoyed because they came back for him, and they're like, no, leave me here with my friends. Don't take me back. I don't want to go to work. Yeah, I feel you, man. Now, as for avoiding the weapons themselves, let's actually talk a little bit more about that for a moment. So, yeah, the shock therapist, we showcased that a moment ago, but that thing bouncing around, especially in the second phase where, like, the electricity turns on as it's bouncing around, that could be very annoying to deal with. So when you see it turns yellow, stop whatever you're doing and draw your Pikmin back as far away as you can. With the monster pump, the bubbles aren't that dangerous, honestly. Like we said a moment ago, it definitely looks a lot more dangerous than it actually is. If you're moving around a lot, it's not going to really hurt your Pikmin all that much. I've noticed more often than not that it can also target the other captain if they're away from the arena a bit more. But I don't know exactly what the criteria is for what's going to be targeted by the monster pump. The Flare Canyon. This one, I don't know if it's just a me problem, but I always seem to have a hard time telling which way it's facing when it's about to go off. We've seen a couple moments where, like, I was kind of in the direct line of fire as the flare cannon was going off, which isn't the most smart thing in the world. I'm just going to say that right now. But I will say the comedy bomb is probably the one that's a little bit more dangerous to look at. It's a little bit more dangerous than you'd think at first. So, yeah, with the comedy bomb, this one, it fires spirals of poison. So the best strategy is to take your Pikmin onto the little ledge right there, because that'll be, like, above the poisonous hazard and things like that. But I will also say it definitely does hurt you a lot more if you're directly underneath the Titan Weevil, and this is where it definitely hurts a lot more. But this is basically going to be our life for the next 20-ish minutes, or however long it took us to fight this thing. So we're just going to do some fancy editing magic to speed up the process. Alright. Don't be directly underneath the Okay, take two. Let's try this again. Okay, let's hype up our Pikmin with the ultra spicy spray of epic awesomeness. Now, the first one you're going to want to go for is the yellow one, the shock therapist. That's what it's called. So you want to be careful. Okay. I was a little worried that it wasn't going to work. Okay, but the ultra bitter spray, that's what you want to do with this thing. The ultra bitter, that didn't seem like it helped much at all. No! Get back here! No! Why can't I move? Why won't it let me move? What the? Run! The shock therapist. Why is that instant death? Why is that It's my turn! So I'm not having the best time fighting this thing, but let's think more positive. Let's think more positive on this thing. Let's just think about the fact that it's almost over. The postgame is almost over and all of its horrible I hate this game. 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 Why does it keep checking at the software? Give me blind. This is my Switch. We've skipped ahead a little bit. As you can see, I was trying for a little bit to see if we can fight this thing using only the white Pikmin. It wasn't working out. We only have 5 of them, and it's definitely. I will say one thing that's annoying about this fight is that it can be difficult to tell if you're actually throwing your Pikmin onto the weapon itself, because sometimes it look like you're supposed to be throwing them on the weapon, but you're like overshooting it or something like that, and it's hard to tell at first. So that's something that's definitely annoying about this particular fight. But at this point, it should be smooth sailing from here. Yeah! And now we get to see the Titan Dweevil in all of its naked glory. I believe it's supposed to be inspired based off Japanese crabs or something like that. I don't know. I don't like looking at crabs, so I don't want to do further research on that. But I will say, this thing does look kind of cool. Like, the texture work is pretty amazing for GameCube standards and things like that, but I don't like looking at it. I don't like looking at it. It's got all swipey claws, and the legs are... Ew. Ugh. But yeah, right here I was trying to demonstrate something awesome, but we failed epically, spoiler alert. So, the Ultra Bitter Spray, if you're able to defeat the Titan Dweevil with the Ultra Bitter Spray still active, it'll drop a bunch of potions. I unfortunately wasn't able to pull it off because I am stupid. But we did it! We did it! Titan Dweevil, you're my bitch! In your face, Titan Dweevil! Yes!
Louie, question mark, are your life functions fading, No! He appears only to have fainted. He is always running into trouble, Instruct the Pikmin to carry him. There is not enough room for him in the cockpit anymore. There would be if Elmer would keep his feet off the other chair. We will have to keep him in the cargo hold for now.
And now we can claim our sweet, sweet rewards. If you lose more than 30 Pikmin or don't have any purples with you or anything like that, that's the point where I'd say to do a reset. Because, yeah, you won't be able to carry the rest of the treasures and stuff like that. The man, the myth, the legend, the king of bugs is only worth 10 Pokos. That's a little depressing. I think, if I remember correctly, he either is the least valuable or at least tied with the least valuable treasure in this game. And that's kind of sad. I feel bad for Louie, even if he may have controlled the Titan Dweevil try to kill us. And now we got the flare cannon. It's locked onto your face! Shock therapist. Monster pump! I mean, I know in comedy they say knock 'em dead, but a comedy bomb seems like a little much. But that was the final treasure in this game. Thank God! I stand by what I said before. I like this game. I like the first part of it, specifically. First of all, I gotta say, this area, I know it's supposed to be like a kitchen sink and things like that, but it also kind of looks like the top of a GameCube. But, the The post game for Pikmin 2, that's definitely where it falls off. Yeah. On most playthroughs, I usually just play up to Paying Off the Debt, and I'll rarely touch the post game and things like that. But we don't have to worry about that anymore. We did it. Thank God. Screw you, post game! You've collected every treasure! Exclamation point! And that was 80 Let's Play of Pikmin 2. Despite my problems with the post game, this is still a very important game to me. Meanie Beanie and I had a lot of fun times playing this game with each other, and as I said before, this alongside Splatoon, they bring back a lot of fond memories with my sister, and I felt like continuing with this game, even as annoying as the post game was, it did definitely help me through a difficult time last year. And with that, stay tuned to the channel for Let's Plays The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Luigi's Mansion will be continuing and or starting pretty soon. We have a couple bonus videos in mind that'll be coming up pretty soon, including at least one for Pikmin 2. I do want to make a video showcasing the Wikipedia, so that'll be coming up on the channel pretty soon. And whatever else happens on the channel in the near future. I don't want to give a specific hint at the moment because Luigi's Mansion will be starting up pretty soon, but let's just say we've got some exciting stuff coming up on the channel in the next year. Thank you all for watching this Let's Play, and until next time, Lady Gator to you.